Hey, I'm Andrew with FreshSense. We help retailers grow their sales to 7 figures and beyond with sachets. Today we're going to talk about a challenge that a lot of retailers are up against they don't even know about. And that's that they are buying sachets backwards. Let me explain what I mean. So most buyers, when they look at a sachet, they're just doing that. They're looking at it. And that's okay, but in order to really understand sachets, you have to understand what they're made up of. So first we have paper and paperboard. That's just going to be your header card that holds the multi-pack together and the envelopes that are in your multi-pack. So that's one component right here, okay? Pretty simple. All of this is pretty simple. The next thing or component that we're going to analyze is vermiculite. Vermiculite is just the mineral that's inside of the envelope that holds the fragrance oil and then slowly disperses it over time. Here's the interesting part about these two things. Paper, not incredibly expensive. I think we can probably all agree on that. Vermiculite, also not incredibly expensive. It's a naturally occurring mineral that's actually also used in potting soil. So again, if it's being used to plant plants in pots, probably not too pricey, okay? So these two things are relatively fixed and they're relatively cheap. The last component though is the actual fragrance oil or the fragrance load. This is what actually goes into the sachet that gives it its purpose, its function, which is to scent a space however big or small for your customers, okay? So what's interesting about this is most buyers, when they evaluate sachets, are examining the visual elements, right? What's on the front, what's the art, etc. Now, to be clear, that matters. It's not like it doesn't matter. But actually 80% of customers, once they buy a sachet, they use it in a place in their house, home, car, etc. that's hidden. They're not out in the open. And so while art does help to drive a purchase, it doesn't necessarily factor in largely as a primary purchase driver. And we actually partnered with an outside agency to do an extensive study on sachet consumers. And here's what we found. The 5 factors that are the most important for home fragrance category consumers buying sachets are, number 1, fragrance strength. And so if it corresponds to fragrance oil, I'm going to write it in purple. And then if it corresponds to the art or the vermiculite, I'm going to write it in blue. So number 1 was fragrance strength, and that is obviously pertaining to the fragrance oil. Next is actually fragrance type. Again, the customer is thinking about that fragrance oil, what it smells like, what type of scent it is. Next is actually going to be how long does it last, right? So we're going to call that fragrance duration. That's how long is this sachet going to last after I take it home? Is it going to scent my closet for 2 weeks, 2 months, 8 months, etc.? The number 4 purchase driver was actually the fragrance quality. Does it smell really good? Does it have depth? Is it complex, or is it just a really basic scent? And then lastly is good value. And so I'm actually going to give that half a point on the visual side because, aesthetic is part of something that a customer might consider good value. But this is what's interesting, is when buyers are, again, looking at sachets, evaluating sachets, they're looking at this visual component. That accounts out of the 5 primary purchase drivers, you might give it half a point out of a possible 5 points. So really 80 to even 90% of why people buy sachets is all right here. It's in how strong is it? What type of fragrance? How long does it last? And what type of quality scent am I getting? And lastly, did I get a good value for it? Why are we taking so much time to break this down? Here's the reason. These are really easy to replicate. This is pretty paper and stuff found in the earth, okay? This is not very hard to do. This is extremely hard to do. Having fragrance that actually appeals to customers, that lasts a long time, that hits all the different fragrance types that they want, and that actually smells strong enough in the store and when they take it home to, one, make them purchase it, and then two, have them happy with their purchase and have them return again. That's really the difference, is so many buyers and category managers are thinking about value paired with what they can see. If something costs less and it looks okay, then a lot of times that's what they go with. The problem is their customers actually want to pay a competitive price, but these things are a lot more important to them, and that's the stuff you can't see. That is the stuff that we focus on at Fresh Sense, and it's why we're able to build seven-figure retail businesses, because we build it on the backs of repeat customers and not one-time regretful customers.